heard of the new features that came to the Hero 5, I had to run out and buy one myself. So kick back, relax, and let's not waste any time. So first off, here's a quick size comparison between the Hero 4 and the Hero 5. For obvious reasons, I prefer the newer one not only because it looks cooler, but it feels more satisfying in the hand with those rounded corners and that waterproof material. So GoPro did us a huge favor by including everything built into the Hero 5 itself, which I'll get into in just a second. It comes with a handy housing that's backwards compatible to hundreds of existing GoPro compatible accessories, and they made a slight adjustment to the locking mechanism with this hardened rubber in between the clips, making it much easier to maneuver on or off accessories. Also included is a USB Type-C charging cable, which thank goodness for that. No need to swap out cables with my current devices, and one of the biggest improvements here is that the actual camera itself is waterproof right out the box. So before you had to purchase a completely separate housing like this one, which was a hassle taking on and off, especially considering that the housing blocked the actual microphones, so you always got this muffled sound in your recordings. So I'm glad they solved that issue. So bare bones, the Hero 5 can survive up to 10 meters underwater, which is more than good enough for me, by the way. But of course you can always buy an extra waterproof housing that can withstand more pressure for those scuba diving adventures. Now, what aids this to be waterproof is the inclusion of these rubber gaskets in the charging door and battery door, which by the way is where you'll find your memory card slot, your charging port, and your micro HDMI port as well for connecting to external displays. There's quite a bit of resistance when opening and closing them, which is good. It kind of almost doesn't feel right. It requires a good amount of friction from your fingers, but at least you know you're getting that good seal and hopefully a little bit of confidence when taking this on the water. Now, that lens cover, you can take it off for replacement, and for the life of me I just couldn't get it off, but just know that you can remove it, and there's tons of videos out there showing you how. Now, another great thing about the Hero 5 is that you no longer have to purchase an extra screen, so make that 2 accessories that GoPro saves you from having to buy. So we get a 2-inch LCD touchscreen display. Admittedly, it is a bit challenging for a finger on this tiny display. You really kind of have to find your touch. It also becomes a smudge and fingerprint party after a few seconds, so that's just something you're going to have to deal with unless you go ahead and buy a screen protector. Now, the screen does get very bright and easy to see outdoors, which is good. It's very easy to navigate. You swipe down for your connections and preference settings, swipe from the right for your manual controls, and then swipe from the left to view your media. Everything is pretty intuitive for the most part, and I gotta say the good benefit of having a screen on the back is that if you don't know what a particular setting does, the screen real estate allows for brief info without having to run to the manuals. And if all else fails, you do get a built-in simple tour, so it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's very newbie friendly, and it only took me a few minutes to learn the menus. Now, we still get all the familiar features. You get different time-lapse modes, your photo modes, and your pro settings for adjusting your ISO and white balance, depending on how fancy you want to be. I just leave it on auto at all times. And just like the Hero 4, every feature is not available with every mode. So for example, shooting in 4K, your options are only 30 and 24 frames per second, and image stabilization is not supported. Whereas shooting in 720p, you can go all the way up to 240 frames per second, and image stabilization becomes available at 2.7K resolutions and below. Now, to be clear, this is electronic image stabilization, so it's not optical, so there is some sort of software processing that goes on, and it crops about 10% into your field of view, similar to the same way it's done in post. I gotta say though, I would have much rather preferred optical stabilization as it produces better results, but I mean, it's still better than having to carry around a handheld gimbal. Now, in most cases, it doesn't look as dramatic as you see in the promo videos, but it still does a pretty good job of stabilizing handheld footage. Now, we do get built-in GPS this time around that you can toggle on or off in the settings. So this is used for geotagging your photos and videos. It's not used to map trails or anything like that. It's very bare. Now, we also get 3 microphones this time, one on the top near the shutter, one to the side, and then one near your charging port. And these microphones work all together to capture the best sound coming in from each and combines them into one audio track in real time. So kind of think of this like HDR, but for audio, just to give you an idea. Alright, so I'm just recording this to demonstrate the audio, the microphones on the Hero 5. So you're going to get much better sound out of this, and this is enabled by default, but alternatively you can also lock it into stereo or wind reduction mode instead if you desire. Now, as far as battery life, its battery is rated at 1220 milliamps and it dies really quick, which was really no surprise. It's a small battery. It'll probably get you through half of your day if you're just recording here and there, which is how I used it if you're lucky. I mean, it has 4K recording, it has voice input, it's powering a touchscreen, playing back media, so I do recommend grabbing a spare battery or two to keep in your arsenal. But the good thing is that it charges pretty quick with its USB Type-C cable, which counters the poor battery life. So the Hero 5 has built-in voice control, and it supports a variety of phrases that begin with GoPro. It's kind of their version of OK Google or Hey Siri. So for example, GoPro start recording. GoPro stop recording. GoPro take a photo. GoPro capture burst. And these phrases work regardless of which mode you're in, so that's a very solid feature. It makes everything so seamless, especially in those situations where you may have big gloves on. Now you can also tag moments in a video with your voice by either saying phrases like, "That was sick," or, "Oh sh**." Yep, that's actually a thing. It'll highlight that moment by adding a marker for easy identification when you view your media in GoPro software. Alternatively, you can also just press the highlight button to the right of the camera or after the fact by tapping the ribbon button during playback. Now that brings me to GoPro's Capture App for iOS and Android that lets you remotely pair your smartphone or tablet, essentially becoming your GoPro's monitor. You can press record, you can change the settings, manage your media, etc. Now this is nothing entirely new, we all saw this before. They just rebranded it a little bit. Now with GoPro's editing app called Quick, that's cross-platform compatible, allows you to create quick fun videos from your gallery or say from your Google Photos library with really simple quick transition templates. Now what's cool is that this app also lets you add media from your GoPro Plus account, which is GoPro's cloud storage solution. Now this is new. So signing up gets you a 60-day free trial followed by $4.99 a month. Now this is currently in beta and you might have to update your Hero 5 like I did to the latest firmware version 1.2. The update lets you upload your photos and videos to the cloud automatically whenever your GoPro is plugged in and charging. So you are limited to 35 hours of video or 62,000 plus photos, so go ahead and do the math to figure out how much storage that equates to, but I do think that's pretty generous. Now a few caveats with this is that your videos are only backed up in 1080p regardless of the format that it was recorded in, so there is some compression going on, and your photos are stored in GoPro's highest 12 megapixel format. So that's that. Now while I'm all for cloud storage solutions, the process to set up auto backup wasn't exactly self-explanatory, and it could be a bit slow in syncing and trying to play back media from the Quick desktop app. I just found that manually offloading your media not only to be faster, but more beneficial by retaining your video's original format, and the process is just a lot more familiar to the average Joe. From a consumer standpoint, I think most of us can agree that we don't exactly enjoy having to learn companion software every time we buy a new product. Overall, I mean, I like this camera. So the Hero 5 is going to run you around 400 bucks. It screams for outdoors, and I think that it's reasonably priced, especially for all that's included. And I'll go ahead and drop a link down below in case you happen to be interested. Also, I'd love to know your thoughts on GoPro's latest action cam, and if this video helped you make a decision, go ahead and show some love to that like button. And if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on some awesome tech videos. As always, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Later.